Wagwan Two Tone Podcast.
Two Tone Podcast. We got Sleepy Vic.
Hey, it's
All right. And we got Quiet Dave.
Hello.
Turn the mic up on Dave because he whispers and he's very shy.
Okay.
This might be uncomfortable, but you know what? It doesn't matter. This is called Four Guys on a Couch. This is not about comfort. So, podcasts, people think it's easy doing podcasts. First of all, thank you guys for doing this.
Yeah, thank you.
All right?
You.
This has been a long time coming. When I first started filming, I wasn't even a director. And I have the last ever Coney Island High show with the Slackers when you had two singers in the band.
Look at that. We still
my
got two
God.
singers, just two different ones.
I actually uploaded it after 25 years.
Wow.
Literally 25 years.
I'm curious.
1999.
Yeah, because I mean, should we watch that? Because I without that, I have no.
Yeah, we don't
All
even
right,
know
this is
what.
the part where I edit. Boop, here's a clip. Oh my God, we just watched it. Wow. Wow. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Basically,
that
look,
footage was amazing.
Thank you so
can't
much.
believe it.
It brought me back, man. It brought me back.
That's right. We were popular at that point for playing the last gig at a venue.
If your venue was going to get closed by the cops or going out of business, you want to get the Slackers in for the last 15 minutes.
That was us. I can remember being outside that show.
We showed up. There was like the fire department was there. It looked like a mess. They basically told us, go away an hour or two and come back. Is what the club told us. Like, just come back. We will make sure and you can load it and
Yeah,
we're
right.
gonna have the show. But you got to go. You just got to go away right now. Don't stand around
Right.
outside the door.
They can't know that the bands are actually going to load in.
Right, exactly. So you got to just make yourself scarce and then come back.
what's next for the Slackers? What's next for the ska scene in general? Is that the man right there?
Just it's like the short 10-second question. We're going on tour this week.
Is there a fourth wave ska?
Jamaican ska lasted for 6 or 7 years in its original form. The two-tone was the peak of it was barely 2 years. It was 79 to 81. It was just up and down. Third wave, it's like the American ska scene. It was another 10 years before bands who were starting out mid-80s got any sort of popularity.
Like mid 90s, right?
Yeah,
That's
the
what I
mid-90s. It's like when I was doing those bands, I was 18, 19, 20. I thought I was old when I was 21 when I was doing it. And it's because I could, finally get in the bars legally. I've been getting in the bars illegally for like 5 or 6 years at that point. you know?
Yeah, remember too that like a guy like Tim was in the Snails when he was a teenager. So
Right.
I've been stuck on something these days, which is about what is the new form.
See, the form, it's not a wave, right? It's not a wave until they change the music. It hasn't changed. It hasn't like become something different.
Right. Because that's where I see the
That's
difference.
the definition.
Because the two-tone had that, it was the rock and roll beat appeal.
Right. It changed. It
And
changed from
then-
the regular old traditional stuff.
Right. The rock and roll beat appeal.
Fishbone kind of did the template of what was going to become third wave ska, and they did that in 1985, 84.
Yeah, but I feel like
And-
Fishbone
and
only
it-
did one ska album. The rest
Right,
is like...
but everybody else copied it.
Yeah.
So there you go.
And they would always put one or two songs, it seemed.
They always
like,
played.
on
They
it.
always played one or two songs.
Yeah.
And the other thing in LA too was that everyone had the demo. They had a demo out, so it was a cassette era. So everyone was listening to their demo tapes that got out somehow.
To
And
me-
that was mostly ska.
Yeah, to me it's always, and I always talk about ska like in the forms like of Latin music. Like Latin, you know what a beat is based on what the drums do, what the conga does, what the guiro does, and ska is like the original ska is that boom, boom, boom. Two-tone, which then they call ska, is boom, dat, boom, bat, boom, bat. Third wave is like boom, bat, boom, bat, boom, bat, boom, bat. It kind of incorporates some more reggae actually into it, and that's another thing I remember with two-tone. Two-tone bass lines were basically rock-steady bass lines
Facts.
with a rock and roll beat.
Right.
So I mean, they're three different musical forms.
Right.
And I guess, this is what we're saying is, when does a band that I like We Are the Union, do something with the ska that I go, hey, look at this,
Right.
bam. And maybe they have, and maybe I just haven't
Haven't heard it.
heard it yet, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or Catbite for that matter. Catbite's great because they use old rock and roll sounds.
Right.
And it's
like-
new and different.
It's new, different. I like the subject matter. I think that the subject matter in those bands, particular We Are the Union and Catbite,
Right.
is really cool and edgy.
Right.
and they like actually
But you
have
see-
things interesting to
You
say.
see, that's what I think. It's not so much the bits of the music,
Yeah.
or the mechanics of the music, as they see themselves as like ska as an inclusive social movement.
Yeah.
Pioneering rebellious level to it now, more so like we used to be in the two-tone.
Yeah.
But not the music. The music hasn't changed. The music is still basically, you know. So two-tone was more like rebellious because of what was going on in the environment. So what's going on in the environment now is why you have these guys right here just going hard like that.
Yeah, it's cool.
Which
Yeah.
makes total sense. It makes total sense of what they're doing because they have something to fight against.
Right.
Exactly.
There's gender politics.
Right.
There's class warfare that's happening that's similar to the two-tone era.
Exactly.
There's racism that's similar to the two-tone era.
Exactly.
And of course, I think we all feel that reggae and ska in their origins were always talking
Rebellious
about
music.
these things.
Exactly. Fact.
Calypso was the. I remember taking a class one time, and they said that all these forms were. It was the news of the day.
Yes.
They weren't going to put it in the newspaper, but you were going to sing about it in a calypso
Right.
song. You were going to talk about it in a reggae song.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly. Those were your newspapers, and those were the truth seekers, truth tellers.
Ska has become just almost, you can project whatever you want onto it in a weird way, because it's like, as a musical form, it does it when people say ska, it doesn't necessarily mean anything. If you go specifically, okay, this is like a Jamaican beat, and there was a music around it in the 60s, then you can say, okay, this was the sound, this was the music. But the society around it, it's like it's ska has become referred to everything, almost anything. It becomes so vague as to what it, from my point of view, as to what it means musically. That's what I see. It's like somebody like We Are the Union, Cat by, the social movement part of it in some ways is more important about it than the actual bits of the music. And that's not saying the music is bad. I mean, the content of the music, the Jamaican roots way in the background somewhere.
The attitude is so punk.
And even emo too, because
Yeah.
all the stuff that happened, you know, while we were becoming adults, that we weren't really involved in emo. I know what it is vaguely. This other like pop and rock and punk that happened in the last 20 years that they're aware of that I'm not very aware of.
I was always into like the stylistic aspect. I saw a video of you on Conan O'Brien. You play with Rancid. They're like, give it up to Vic Ruggiero from the Slackers.
Yeah.
And then it just cut to you like bubbling.
Well, we were very involved with Rancid in those years between 96 and whenever that record came out, early 2000s. Dave and I had, and a couple of other guys from the scene had toured with Rancid, thanks to Jeff Baker, to Django, because they had asked him to play trombone. They came to New York looking for a punk trombone player. The word went out amongst the many trombone players in New York. Who's the punk trombone player? They found Jeff right away.
Right, because he was playing with Murphy's Law.
And that began our relationship. They asked us to come open for them on a European tour as the Stubborn All-Stars, which Dave and I were both in.
The horn section and Vic got asked to do Lollapalooza tour with
Metallica,
Soundgarden. Yeah, it was pretty surreal.
Rode buses around with Metallica and Soundgarden, and I met Devo. I met the Ramones.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, I met the Ramones before in moments, but never like spent a night talking on our bus with Joey Ramone. You know, falling asleep in a bag of Doritos, and it was like, this is fucking weird. This is weird. What is this?
Remember that visual? Yes.
Yeah.
That one's kind of hard to forget.
Wow. No photos, no evidence? Dorito
I had
evidence?
no phone. We had no phones back then.
Yeah, we didn't have cell phones.
We didn't. That was like before 2004 or 3, right?
This is 95, 96
Yeah.
in there.
Little tourist camera that I used to carry around to
Right.
get a picture of Dave jamming with the Violent Femmes on stage.
That's right, I jammed with the Violent
And remember, they had a shell player, a sax player that was also playing shells.
He was like trying to weird me out, I think. He was like trying to, he didn't realize how weird I could get. So it was like kind of we had a weird off on stage.
Weird off. Time for the weird off.
Well, somebody asked me last night. It was funny. We were having a conversation. I think it was me and Tom, actually. Tom, the uplifter, as it were.
Yes.
And he said, man, you know, if they gave us $1 million, like, what would we do, man? And I was like, I don't think I would change anything. Well, $1 million doesn't count for much these days. 100 million.
100 million. I think that, isn't that 1 billion? That's 1 billion.
100 million? 100.
1,000? No, 1,000
1,000
million is 1 billion. If I had that, I'd take you guys out to lunch.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I wouldn't change my routine. I thank God. I mean, knock on wood here. I do what I want to do. I like to live a creative life, you know? And I wouldn't be like, yeah, I'm going to go on vacation and screw this. It's over. I just go on tour. I'd buy a better car for us. That would be it.
Vic, when you go to Cali, what do the Cali people say about your New York accent?
They don't understand what the hell I'm saying. And they all think I'm mad all the time.
Oh,
Which I'm like
mad,
never
I'm
mad at anybody. Right?
I'm Vic Ruggiero, I'm mad.
People always think
Listen
I'm
to
mad too,
Slackers.
so it's okay.
Hey, I'm from the Slackers.
Dave's from California and they think he's mad.
Yeah.
Dave looks mad.
I got,
Dave looks like he'll beat you up, bro.
I got psycho eyes. That's the thing. It's just my eyes.
Dave, I need a bodyguard if you want to follow me around.
Culture purveyors, you know. So I go around. I want to hear Southern accents. I want to see what the Californians got to give. Rancid guys definitely showed us some different things. To say there's some of the few Californians that actually have sarcastic wit.
Yeah.
Freeman is a ball buster.
Oh yeah, he's definitely
Great bass player.
Laws is a ball buster.
for sure.
A lot of Californians are not. They don't get the jokes.
We're from the streets, man. We got different kind of swag.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The famous California phrase, "I'm totally not opposed to that." That means your music project is never happening.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Say goodbye.
Yeah.
My favorite album. What is that? The question where the girl's pointing the gun at the dude in bed.
Yeah.
That would be
That's
big.
my favorite album.
We put a lot into that record.
I rock that shit on repeat, man. Like you said, staying true to the art. Like that's quintessential ska, in my opinion.
I feel like we had just discovered our sound on that record. And like many things, when you first have that flash of the vision,
Like
and you're
holy shit.
Oh, we tried all these things, and suddenly it's like, oh, it's clicking. Oh, this is working. And we caught that magic on that record. It was a very pivotal moment for the Slackers. Because Red Light's a cool record, and I know
Right.
a lot of people love Red Light.
love that record.
But I think when I listen to Red Light, I don't hear us
As you sound
speaking in our voice yet. You know, I mean, and I don't mean just a voice. Just the voice of the band was not quite cooked yet, and we fought on the question. We cooked it.
Well, after Red Light, we basically went on tour for a year and a half. So that was like the after that came out, then we got on the road. We had Glenn, and it was like our sound sort of gelled as a band. There wasn't just stopping for 2 months or 3 months and picking it up again. It was like we were out.
There was a lot of sitting in the back of that bus, the Euro tours, when we finally got to hang out, and everybody sitting in the back kind of discussing music and listening to records and records and records all together.
What are you drinking right now?
This is
you got
green-
whiskey in there?
This is green tea, even though it's a Hershey's chocolate.
I heard singers use peppermint tea to coat their voice.
Nah, use throat coat tea.
Throat coat.
I'm a fan of different Chinese medicines that I take
Oh, you take.
to keep my voice in shape sometimes.
What do you take?
I take this great little pill called Hao Chi Ling.
What?
That's how my pharmacist told me to say it. He said if I say Hu Ji Ling, like I would, like it reads, he goes, we don't know what you're talking about if you say Hu Ji Ling. You got to say Hao Chi Ling.
Oh, Chile.
And even then, I'm probably saying it wrong because I'm not singing it right. Because there's like tones you're supposed to.
Oh,
Hachi Ling.
Yeah, like they'll be like, what do you mean? Why do you want a radish? Details to the language that.
Yeah, and we haven't got that.
In voice inflections.
That's one of my favorite ones. And then there's another one that's called Quinyin Wan,
Damn, dude.
which it's these little honey balls. And when I'm really, really feeling bad, if you suck on these honey balls, by the time the showtime comes around, my voice is lubricated enough to be
Oh,
like,
that's fire. I need some of that.
Where do you find this, by the way? Flushing?
Go to Chinatown. Any
Chinatown?
Any
Okay.
Chinatown.
Really?
If you start asking, you go into the little Chinese shops.
Yeah.
You look around. And I say these names because I always tell singers, because I want them to like it too, so that when I'm on tour, I go, hey, you got any of that Chinese medicine? And they go like, as a matter of fact. Doesn't everyone? You know? And I'm like, thank you.
Yo, tell me, bro. I'm gonna go get that.
Yeah, I'll write it down for you.
This podcast is sponsored by Hachi Ling.
That's right.
Have you ever played Chinatown? Favorite spots in New York City to play?
I mean, Irving Plaza, just because I saw so many great shows there. When I stand on that stage, I remember watching bands, and I feel like I'm some sort of legend.